Here at URL Insurance Group, we try to make an emphasis and put an emphasis on training and helping you land and discover your next life case. Here with our virtual life sales workshop, we're joined by Cincinnati Life's Life Sales Field Director, Tim Kenney. Tim's going to be talking to us about worksite and voluntary life programs that are offered through Cincinnati Life. And I'd like to give a warm welcome to Tim Kenney from Cincinnati Life and kind of explain their life workshop and voluntary life program and what they're doing there at Cincinnati Life. Hi, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Matt. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
So go ahead and take her away and show us what you've got.
Sounds good. Well, thank you once again. And thanks for having me on to talk about Cincinnati Life's worksite and voluntary life insurance program. It's a little bit of the outside the box topic for today. Try to do something a little bit different. But as Matt mentioned, my name is Tim Kenney. I am the Regional Life Sales Director for Cincinnati Life. URL is a very valued partner for us, and we appreciate all their efforts for Cincinnati Life. But I am going to go over our worksite voluntary life program today, and due to the allotted time, there are a lot of nooks and crannies to this program, but I'm going to cover the highlights. I'm going to give a quick overview of the program, again, to cover the allotted time for today. So up on the screen, you can actually see my phone number and my email address. So if any questions come up, simple, doesn't matter what it is, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask at the end of this presentation. If there's any questions you may have about the company, the program, any cases you may have, the fit, et cetera, et cetera. And I will also show my number and email also at the end of this as well. So what I'm going to kind of talk about today, again, in the allotted time that I have, is very briefly, we're going to just cover some industry trends, right? Some statistics, if you like that sort of thing, and then kind of tie it all together, how the Cincinnati Life Worksite program kind of fits in and meets the needs of these statistics and industry trends. I'm going to go over the product line, the benefits of the program, very briefly the process and how it works, and again, very briefly on how to get started. So that's what we're going to kind of cover today. So with that said, the first thing, and you know, everybody has seen these statistics over the last so many years, right? The small businesses in the U.S. it's basically the engine of the U.S. economy, right? So if give or take a couple, 32.5 million small businesses in the U.S., independently owned businesses, I might add with less than 500 employees. Believe it or not, and I think this is kind of rather staggering, that makes up almost 100% of the businesses in the United States. So again, independent small businesses with less than 500 employees. And with those 32.5 million small businesses, that accumulates around 61 to 62 million employees of these small businesses, which makes up about 47% of all employees across the entire workforce. So as you can see by those are rather staggering numbers. The small business market, again, it's rather cliche to say, everybody talks about it, but the reality is the small business market can yield significant opportunities out there. So with that staggering number of small businesses with less than 500 employees, and in light of current events over the last number of years, what's been happening, employers are having, one of their main things is to try to address the rather substantial rise in demand to stay competitive in the job recruitment market. I know of some personal situations with a couple of friends, relatives. It's a very, very competitive job recruitment out there, market space, and employers are struggling to sort of, obviously beyond salaries and incomes, is to, what can they add to their employee benefits package that's going to help in the recruiting process. And also allow not just that, expanding that employee benefit package, but allowing those employees to personally customize their benefits to fit their individual needs and circumstances, which is very important, because not one size fits all. And again, with that, based on my experience out there in the field, employees lean on the employer many times for guidance, for education. And the employers, in most cases, especially in the small business market, aren't necessarily in a great position to help these employees. So they actually then lean on us, right? They lean on the Tims, the Matts, and you out there to help satisfy these employees' needs, education, and help them, again, round out their employee benefits programs to fit, again, their individual circumstance. So we've all seen this statistic as well, right? These have been out there. LIMRA puts these out every year. Again, even if these are 80% correct, 70% correct, or even 100% correct, believe it or not, there is a pretty high demand out there for life insurance, right? So if you believe in these statistics, for roughly 40% of adults believe they need to increase their life insurance. So there is awareness out there of the need for it and what it can do. And if you look at these next couple, 48% like the idea of simplified underwriting, and 55% of consumers said they were more likely to purchase life insurance without a physical examination, right? Probably not surprising. We're kind of transitioned into a world of convenience, and the industry, the life insurance industry, is trying to, and they're still working on it, get to that point of convenience and try to avoid these no bloods, urine paraments kind of thing. So convenience is rather important as well for all the obvious reasons, right? So, and, we've all seen this too. More than half the population thinks that even term life insurance is significantly more expensive than the reality it actually is. So the purpose of this slide is just to show that, believe it or not, while life insurance isn't the most welcomed topic out there, these statistics, even if they're off a little bit, does prove that there's a market for it and a need for it out there. So that's, again, briefly some statistics out there. So the Cincinnati Life Voluntary Worksite Program. So we're going to kind of tie it all together, and how the program itself can actually meet some of these needs and sort of back up those statistics, and how we might be able to fill that gap for not just the employers, but also the employees. So the program itself, and we're going to go into a little more detail here in a second, but the program itself, and I'm going to kind of stress this throughout this presentation, the importance of it. These are employer-based plans, right? But they are individually owned policies, right? So that's where the word voluntary comes from. And the other key component is this technically can fall into the category of an employee benefit, but what I stress too is the employer, the owner of the business, whoever's controlling it, has to understand that, again, the word voluntary is very important, and that this is a no direct cost to the employer. Now, the employer, if they wish to, can pay for a portion of these policies, or in some cases all of it if they really desired. But it's really a voluntary life insurance program, and it's up to the employee to participate. Okay. And what makes it even nicer is that coverage is actually available for not just the employees, but their spouses, their children, and actually their grandchildren. So it's kind of a family plan, and we're going to go into some details here in a second. And I'm not going to go into Cincinnati Life's history here, but we are not new to this marketplace. Cincinnati Life has been in the voluntary life insurance space for more than 50 years. These numbers might be a little outdated, but again, give or take a couple. We're probably over 5,000 in force payroll deduction employer groups. It says 4,500, but I think these numbers are from probably a year or two ago. But we're probably over 5,000 in-force programs. And just to kind of give you an idea where we fit the best is probably 90%, again, roughly 90% of those plans have either 300 or less eligible employees. So it's more of a small to medium-sized business program. We can certainly accommodate much more than that. But the niche is probably between 15 and probably 300 employees. But again, we can accommodate more. But again, the majority of our plans are probably 300 employees or less. So the other distinction here again, what's important is, and I'm going to stress again, the voluntary life insurance program offered through Cincinnati Life, it's employer-based again, but it's their individual policies. This is not a group plan. So this is very different than group life insurance, okay? Where group life insurance is a master contract. There's no control over it by the employee. Portability is very ambiguous in their definition, whether those policies are portable or not if the employee leaves the company. So if the employee leaves the company, most of the time, if not all the time, they're left without any life insurance. And also you have to be careful of some of these group plans that the benefits aren't decreasing over time, okay? But our program is not meant to replace the group life insurance. Group life insurance is very important. However, it's actually meant to layer on top of a group life policy for that portability purposes. And again, that individual ownership purposes. So I'm just going to put on my glasses here so I can kind of read my slide a little bit. The employee decides whether they're going to participate or not. Again, go back to the term voluntary. These are voluntary plans. They don't have to take it if they don't want to. And the key is the portability is if they leave their job, these voluntary life insurance policies are fully portable with no changes to the premium and no changes to their coverage, okay? And we're going to go again into this in a little bit more detail here in a second. But it's important to distinguish between group life insurance and what we're offering are individual policies on a guaranteed issue basis through groups. So a little distinction there. And again, we're not looking to replace group life insurance. We're looking to layer our program on top of what they're being offered in a group setting. So as I mentioned, our program is actually done on a guaranteed issue basis, right? So we talked about convenience, right? Buying life insurance and eliminating all the parameds, the bloods, the urines, and all that stuff that you usually have to go through the traditional method. So convenience purposes is we can offer this on a guaranteed issue basis, okay? So guaranteed issue is exactly what it says, guaranteed issue. We do not ask any health questions. So regardless of somebody's health, they want to participate, they participate, they get what they want to get, and we don't ask any medical questions regardless of their health. So the key thing to the guaranteed issue is it is available to eligible employees and their family members, as I mentioned earlier. Now, it's important to understand the definition of an eligible employee, and it's pretty simple. The definition is basically employees working a minimum of 20 hours a week, even if they're part-time. If they're working 20 hours a week or more, they are deemed an eligible employee. And the other factor is there has to be an employer-employee relationship. So preferably like a W-2 hourly employee kind of thing. We can consider 1099 if there's only a few in the group. If the group is primarily independent contractors who are 1099, that does not work for this program. So there must be an employer-employee relationship. Okay. And again, as I stated earlier, this is available to children, grandchildren, and spouses. The only thing to make a note of is the spouse. One of our requirements is if the spouse wants to participate in this, the spouse has to be working outside the home at least 20 hours a week. So basically the same definition, working outside the home for 20 hours a week. And again, as I stated, very easy to apply, very convenient, guaranteed issue. There's no medical exam, no medical questions. These are unisex rates. You're either a non-smoker or a smoker. And the definition of a smoker is, and we ask two questions on our application, outside of, date of birth, social security number, that sort of thing. One of them is, do you work 20 hours a week? The second question we ask is, do you smoke cigarettes? Very specific, cigarettes. So if somebody's tobacco chewer, smoking cigars, that sort of thing, we will actually offer a non-smoker rate to them. So the question is very specific. Do you smoke cigarettes? We don't want to know about anything else. It's cigarettes only. But they're unisex rates, and you're either a non-smoker or a smoker. Typically, most of the plans that we write are payroll deduction, which we coordinate through the employer, but they're not required to be. If the employer does not want to participate in a payroll deduction and don't want to take the time to set all that up, we can set people up on individual EFTs. The other thing I'll mention, and I'll mention it now, we talk about, again, portability, right? These are individual policies, fully portable. If somebody has a policy under this program and they leave company A to go to company B and they're on payroll deduction, very simply, if somebody alerts us, we can take them off the payroll deduction. And if they want to keep that policy, we just set them up on an individual EFT and they continue the policy once they leave that company. So pretty simple process. So again, fully portable. So here are our guaranteed issue guidelines. So this is what people, based on their age, can be eligible for. So as you can see, up between 18 and 50, somebody can actually get as much as $100,000 on a guaranteed issue. 51 to 60, 75,000, and from 61 to 70, they can get as much as 25,000. Now, if they wanted to purchase more than that, we do have a maximum limit of $200,000, but anything over and above the guaranteed issue limit would be done on a simplified issue basis, which I'll go into here in a second. But the guaranteed issue limits are up to age 50, 100, 51 to 60, 75, 61 to 70, 25,000. Anything over and above that, up to 200,000 total, would have to be done simplified. Spouses, as I mentioned, the employee of the business does not actually have to participate for spouse and children to actually be able to get coverage. So on a guaranteed issue basis, if the employee did not participate and the spouse wanted some insurance, we will actually do as much as $15,000 of whole life insurance on a guaranteed issue basis. And up to age 60, you can do 25,000 of any product or combination. Okay. With some simplified issue in there as well. And then you can see on the screen the child, won't go over those, but children and grandchildren are also included in that and eligible. And again, the employee does not have to participate. Simplified issue. So simplified issue and the guaranteed issue, the rates are the same. So there's no different in rate. The only difference between the guaranteed issue and the simplified issue is it's the same application, but if you're applying for more than what the guaranteed issue limit is, all we do is add a question, a medical supplement, which asks 6 medical questions. And right now, we're at about a 90% issue rate on simplified issue. But it's really the questions are accept or reject kind of thing. So if you can answer all the questions no, you're accepted. If you answer any of them yes, then we might ask some additional questions in there. But we're at a 90% issue rate on simplified. But again, the simplified can be rejected based on, again, certain impairments or situations, again, which I don't have time to go into today. But there is a little bit of underwriting there on the simplified issue, but it's really just questions. So diving into the guaranteed issue a little bit more. So I mentioned an eligible employee is somebody working a minimum of 20 hours a week. So in order for the group to be eligible for guaranteed issue, we need a minimum of 15 eligible employees. So it's rather low, 15 eligible. So in order for a group to be eligible for the guaranteed issue. So, but one of the competitive advantages that we have, and very important to remember, is we don't have any participation requirements. So if you brought us a case with 20 eligible employees and we approved the group for guaranteed issue, if one employee participated out of 20, that employee gets guaranteed issue. So we don't have any participation requirements. Once we approve a group for guaranteed issue, it doesn't matter how many participate. Obviously, we like more the better, but we do not hold you to our participation requirement for guaranteed issue. Once we give you guaranteed issue, the participation does not matter. Okay. Now, we potentially, and it's a case-by-case basis, but we on occasion, we can actually offer guaranteed issue to groups that are less than 15 eligible employees if the employer agrees to pay, it's 100% employer paid, right? Because what we're basically guaranteeing is 100% participation out of the group, because nobody's going to turn down free insurance, even if it's a minimal amount. And again, there's some sales tactics in there that we can use to get more than that. But just keep in mind that if you had and I just did a small insurance agency with 11 eligible employees, but the employer was going to pay 100%. And I was actually able to get that done for GI, guaranteed issue. So you can kind of keep that in mind for any groups that are under 15. If the employer is going to pay any amount of it, I can typically get those done, although it's not guaranteed, but it's case by case. Waiver. So when we enroll a group, if an employee, and this is kind of important, if an employee decides that they don't want to participate, we ask them to sign a waiver form. It's just basically a waiver that does two things. It acknowledges they sign it, that they were offered guaranteed issue life insurance and they're turning it down. So we ask them to sign it so we can put it in a file. So they basically waive their right to guaranteed issue. But the other important thing to keep in mind is they're also waiving their right to purchase on a life insurance on a guaranteed issue basis through this program in the future. So if they don't want it now and they come back a year from now and say, well, I changed my mind, I would like to get $50,000 of life insurance, they cannot get guaranteed issue. We can offer it on a simplified basis. Not a big deal if they're reasonably healthy, but if they're not healthy, then it becomes a problem. So it's important to understand when we ask them to sign this waiver, they're also waiving their right to guaranteed issue and the ability to buy it in the future. And again, we've already talked about the portability factor of this. So here are the products. Again, I've mentioned a few times now, these are individual products. These are individual plans, individually owned by the employee. So the easiest way to describe it, these are traditional life insurance products. So we do offer 10-year term, 20-year term, and they work just like anything else. If somebody buys a 20-year term and they're paying $10 a week under the guaranteed issue program, it's $10 a week for the full 20 years, whether they work at this company or not. So traditional life insurance products with just guaranteed issue pricing. Traditional convertibility. You can actually convert this the earlier of the end of the guarantee period. We'll just use 20 years as the example. So the earlier of the end of the 20 years or 10 years, or the person's age, 70, whatever comes first. So even a regular traditional conversion privilege as well. The face amounts, you actually can buy, the minimum face amount on our term is $25,000, and you can buy in 25,000 increments up to $100,000. If they're between the ages of 50 and 70, you can actually go for as little as $10,000. And again, as mentioned earlier, depending upon your age, the maximum is $100,000 for GI. The ages, the eligible ages, issue ages, 10-year term, you can get up to age 70. 20-year term, you can get up to age 60. We have, this is relatively unique in the industry. So we have those traditional term products, but we actually also have a return of premium 20-year term. Same conversion privilege, but at the end of the 20 years, if they're still have the policy, they're still alive, we will actually return 80% of the premiums paid. And that does exclude riders. So the return of premium is on the base premium only. So if they added a rider and there was a slight cost for the rider cost is not returned. It's just the base premium. But we will return 80% of the premiums paid if at the end of that 20 years, they're still alive. Another unique feature to our return of premium product is the product also offers a reduced paid up term policy. So most of you may be listening to this are familiar with reduced paid up and how it works in a whole life contract. But we actually offer it in our return of premium product. So at any point in time, a client can take the reduced paid up death benefit option, not pay any more premiums, and actually have coverage guaranteed to their age 99. That's pretty unique in the industry. And our return of premium product is available up to age 50. I wish it was a little bit older, but right now the max age for our return of premium is actually age 50. And just like our traditional term products, you can buy in $25,000 increments up to $100,000. We also offer whole life. It's a non-par whole life, so no dividends. It's just a guaranteed whole life, guaranteed premium, guaranteed cash value, guaranteed death benefit. So it's non-par product. We have two options: life paid up at 65 and a level paid at 100. With our whole life product, you still get the reduced paid up like you do in our return of premium. But with the whole life, the minimum that you can actually buy is small. It's $5,000, and you can buy in $5,000 increments up to, again, $100,000. The max age for the paid up at 65 is age 55, and the level pay is age 70. So I'm not going to go into the riders in detail, but we do actually have optional riders that are available. So there is a children's term rider, an accidental death benefit, an accelerated death benefit, and a waiver of premium. So that's our products. That's the program. So what's the process? It's a relatively simple process. So of course, step one is an employer meeting. That's obvious. The employer says, yes, come on in and offer this to my employees. So the most important thing to keep in mind is we have to submit what we call a worksite qualifier. Okay, it's just a one-page form, and it gives an outline of the business, how many employees. It just gives a profile. That's what we submit to Cincinnati Life, so the worksite people can just approve you for guaranteed issue. Once we do that, they approve you for guaranteed issue. There's two things, again, with our program that we do require. One is a very brief 10, 15, 20-minute tops, what we call a group meeting. It's an educational meeting, again, very brief, that we come in And we just have this, we give a brief education and outline to the employees what they're going to be offered and what the next steps are going to be. Okay. So then we come back, it's the next day or the day after that, and we actually will meet with the employees one-on-one, face-to-face. Now, there are circumstances where we can't do face-to-face. Trucking companies, things along those lines, guys driving trucks, they're not going to be in an office to meet one-on-one. We have workarounds for that, but we do like to speak to the employees one-on-one about what's being offered. We are very big on education. Keep this in mind for those of you familiar with the benefits world. We are not a self-enrollment platform, and we will never be a self-enrollment platform. So that's why we like to meet individually one-on-one with the employees so we can answer their questions, walk them through it. And if they decide not to purchase anything, that's fine with us. They sign a waiver, away they go. But the ones who are interested, we will educate them, walk them through it, help them determine what the best thing is for them to enroll with. And we take them every step of the way. So it's a little bit different model, but we are not a self-enrollment program. Those are really the highlights of the process. I mean, there's obviously other steps, but those three things I wanted to highlight. The qualifier is required to get a case approved and a group approved, but we also do these group meetings. Again, sometimes they're 10 minutes, sometimes they're 20, depends on if there's questions, and then meeting with the clients one-on-one or the employees one-on-one. The other thing I wanted to highlight today too is for any of you watching this right now who are familiar with the voluntary space. As you probably know, it is very labor intensive. It takes a lot of time. Enrolling a business or a group for any kind of benefits, including voluntary life, can be tedious. So at Cincinnati Life, one of our value propositions is we actually have specific voluntary life worksite enrollment specialists, okay, who all have a background in the voluntary life space prior to joining Cincinnati. So very familiar. So what we'll provide to you is if you have opportunities, you can turn them over to Cincinnati Life. You make a warm introduction to your business, whether it's a human resources person, the owner, and we will actually run with the case from start to finish. So we'll meet with the owner, we'll enroll it, we take the applications, we submit it to Cincinnati, we service it in the future, we do re-enrollments, we sign up new employees, we do policy reviews every year with them. We will literally do 100% of the work on your behalf. That way, it doesn't take you out of your primary business, and we're taking all that work off of your shoulders. So we actually have specific, dedicated enrollment specialists who do nothing but enroll groups on your behalf. Okay. Full disclosure, when you utilize our enrollment specialists, we do have there is some revenue sharing, and that revenue sharing is a 50% reduction in premium. Okay. So again, full disclosure, our enrollment specialists do not work on commission. They are 100% salaried employees of Cincinnati Life. So, but it's a very expensive model to have at Cincinnati. So in order to offset those expenses, we do ask for revenue sharing. So if we enroll a group for you, you get full compensation on half of the premium. So if we enroll $30,000 of premium, you're going to get full compensation on $15,000. Okay. So full disclosure there, but no Cincinnati Life employee makes any commissions. But due to the model, it's an expensive model, we have to offset some of those costs to have it be profitable. But keep in mind that we will handle all that work for you. And in addition to that, we do some training. We have all the marketing. I'm not going to go into that right now. But really the goal of the program itself and the support that we offer is really, and again, it's cliche to say in our business, but it is to help you drive some additional revenue that you might not be thinking of. And it can round out any existing account relationships you have. and just to kind of make your clients a little bit maybe sticky to you. And with that said, and I can barely read this slide, but so when you think about the voluntary space, we usually like to talk about, well, what are the benefits of adding worksite and voluntary life to your practice, and within some of your clients, whether they might be financial planning clients, property and casualty clients, whatever they might be. So what we like to talk about is, if you think about the big picture, there's a saying out there: your best client is your competitor's best prospect, right? It's a very competitive market out there. So your best clients are being called on all the time by your competition. So you think about it this way, by adding something like voluntary worksite life insurance to some of your accounts, you're closing off access points to your competitor. So you're not giving them an in, right? And we talk about that, with business life insurance, personal life insurance. So the worksite life insurance employee benefit space is no different, where we can help close off those access points by just adding another line of business to what you're already doing with your client. And again, our role is we can meet the client, we enroll it, we service it, we do everything from A to Z with nothing more than a warm introduction. But what also happens out there, the more cases that we enroll and we're involved in, we do stumble across individual life insurance opportunities with not only the employees, but the business owners. So when we happen to stumble across those opportunities, if a business owner says, while you're here, my accountant's been to me and my partner to buy $1 million of term insurance to fund our buy sell, or one of the employees might say, well, I need to buy more than this. So what we will do is we will gather all that information and actually refer it back to you and say, hey, Joe Smith or Mr. Business Owner is approached us about this. Here's what he's looking for, et cetera. And we give that back to you. But one of the other services that we provide at Cincinnati Life during this process, and for those of you listening to this are familiar with Cincinnati Life, I like to think, and they pay me to say this, obviously, I like to think we have extremely competitive products out there. But we also offer on the individual side what we call a concierge service. So in those individual circumstances, if we stumble across them and we're asked about individual life insurance opportunities that might require more of the full underwriting, larger amounts, if once you give us the go ahead, we will actually run with that as well for you. And we will talk to the client. We'll take the application on your behalf. We'll follow it through underwriting, order a medical exam if it's needed, et cetera. We'll follow it all the way through policy delivery. The biggest difference, though, between that and using our enrollment specialist for worksite is there is no compensation reduction by using our concierge service on the individual side. So if we're taking applications for you on a couple of business owners to fund their buy sell, there's no comp reduction. It all goes to you. So just another service that we provide. And for any of you property and casualty agents or agencies who might be viewing this, again, I have a number of agencies in my footprint that, again, bigger picture, they use this as a personal lines marketing tool. So when we enroll a case, we give everything back to you in the form of an Excel spreadsheet, employee names, addresses, dates of birth, spouses, where the spouse might work. And I do have agencies who use that list for personal lines because all those employees might own a home, they rent, they have cars, maybe a motorcycle, a boat, rental properties, whatever it might be. So it's like a marketing tool for property and casualty personal lines. Again, just an idea, outside the box a little bit. And one of the things that we promise here at Cincinnati Life is industry expertise, not just Cincinnati Life. I've been doing this for 28 years. I know the market fairly well, and we don't fit square pegs in round holes at Cincinnati. We are salaried employees. We do not make commissions. So if somebody asks us a question, we promise that we will refer them back to you, and we will not push Cincinnati Life. And if that's not a fit. But we do have a little bit of some industry expertise as well, and knowing what the marketplace also offers that we do not. So here's just some examples. So of what the potential could be. If you look at different group sizes and a 40% participation rate from employees, and you just assume each one of them spends $10 a week via payroll deduction, these are about what the average premiums could be. So, give or take, if you get a group of 25, that's probably a little low, but you're looking at anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 a premium. I think those numbers, quite frankly, are a little low. I've done some cases recently where the premiums are a little bit higher, but in any event, it gives you an idea of, what the potential could be, and what kind of revenue it could generate. And this last slide here, just again, it just gives you a few ideas on what the target industries are. Obviously, we take just about anybody, but the most common ones we see are listed there on the left-hand side under target industries. But again, we take anybody as long as they meet the definition of guaranteed issue at Cincinnati. We take just about anybody, but those probably the most common in the last couple of years. And as far as the prospects goes, again, I mentioned it earlier, any property and casualty agencies listening, this is big for commercial accounts. So if you approach your commercial accounts, the obvious one is employee benefits specialists out there, rounding out those employee benefits programs, financial advisors, insurance professionals in the business market. Kind of obvious, but just to kind of give you an idea where to get started. And what kind of industries we're probably most common in. And that is the end. There again is my name, number, email. The other person listed there is Andrea. Andrea is my worksite enrollment specialist. That's her name and number, and email address. Please do not hesitate to reach out at any time. Again, if you have simple questions, you have a case to discuss, we're more than happy to help any way that we can. Want to thank Matt and URL again today for the opportunity to present the Cincinnati Worksite program. So thanks, Matt.
I appreciate all the information that you provided with us to us here, Tim. I know a couple of agents that are already partnered with us here at URL that have used your concierge services and rave reviews on that. And I really saw a lot of opportunities, and I hope that the audience does too, that there are so many opportunities that will generate more revenue and really lock up some of their existing relationships, as well as helping them with their prospecting as well. So Tim, again, thank you. Great job, great information. And we sincerely appreciate your time, your talents, and your expertise. So
my pleasure.
With that, we appreciate you and appreciate everybody's business. So you have Tim's contact information there. You also can contact us here directly at URL 717-540-5690, option 3 for Life Markets team. And we can take it from there as well. So with that, thank you very much. And everybody have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks again.